Oh, yeah. What's goody? You know. Yo, what's good, man? We going out or no? You know. It's sunny outside. Bye bye.
So, hi, my name's Andy. Welcome to the What's Goody podcast. This is my guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Kathryn Dawson-Foy. We've been a friend for
a few months now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been like at least 5 or 6 months now, I think.
Yeah, probably September or something, I think.
Yeah.
The first time we met.
Yeah. And it's we've just chatted since then.
Yeah,
really.
seen each other on a few nights out and stuff, so had a good time with other people, other friends and stuff. So, glad you made it today.
Yeah.
Now, something I found out before is that you told me that you've actually been on a podcast before.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so for those that are aware, there's a YouTube channel called Collider, and they used to do Collider Heroes, which was like a Marvel on DC podcast. And one of the co-hosts of that, and later co-host, was Coy Jandrew, and he has his own podcast called Coycast, and he has 1 week is news, and then 1 week is Hot and Hotline Heavy, which is they get callers to come in from all over the globe to send in a voicemail or a voice memo, and I've been on at least 6 or 7 of different ones because of like Marvel things that have come up and just asking questions and things like that.
So is that on YouTube or other platforms?
It's on Spotify and Apple.
Okay.
And I've been on quite a few. So I've asked about The Witcher. I've asked about the Hawkeye, which had inclusions of Rogers the Musical and things like that. And I've asked about Disneyland and Disney World and all that. So him, Coy, Jandrew and Jake Lloyd Bacon. It's on the Dragon Wagon Radio podcast link, and there's a Discord and everything, and it's really fun.
Wow. So is it quite, with all those like different platforms, so is it kind of quite big then, would you say, or?
Well, the radio station, the radio network that it's on, and like the podcast network, it's been recently turned 5, and Coycast has been around for 2 years.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So it's been it's been lovely to be able to, because they're American.
Yeah.
And it's been nice to have like a little bit of a voice back and forth of like
definitely kind of maybe like their perception over there of things like Marvel or other topics.
Yeah.
And then your perception from here from TV. So
no,
that's great. Like I'm definitely going to have to look at put this podcast on Spotify, which I have. I started doing like a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
It's a bit of like nitpicking and things like that, but I'll get it done. I've done it with like music stuff before as well. So let me just have a.
I'll ask and see whether I can put this episode up on their Discord, because then people will listen to it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. There's like conversations when I met you. We were on a night out with a bunch of people in Manchester, and we were talking about Switch games of all things. Like I'd recently just bought a Switch.
Yeah.
Well, got a Switch, sorry, for my birthday.
Yeah.
We were talking about games. So have you got some like favourite games that you like to play?
Yeah.
On the Switch?
So mostly on the Switch I play Pokemon. So because that's been ever since '97. I got Pokemon Yellow, and then moved on and like really enjoyed the games. So that's why I got my Switch, because Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee came out, and I wanted, because I didn't like the red and blue Switch and the grey Switch. I was like, I don't like the colours, it's horrible. But they came out with a Pokemon version, and it was my one is yellow and brown to go with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and then on the back it's got like decals of little mini Pikachus and Eevees on the back.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that's why I chose that one. I was like, if I'm going to get a Switch, I'm going to get it now, so that, because I don't know what the Switches are going to look like in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
And stuff like that. So that's the reason why I got one. But one of the reasons why we got on so well was because of the Switch game, and because of like nostalgic kind of games that we used to play as a kid.
Definitely, and they bring a lot of them onto the Switch, don't they? Which
is
great.
So like one that I mentioned was I used to play a lot as a kid was Spyro.
Oh yeah, I remember Spyro. Great game.
So like on PlayStation and PlayStation 2. So I got PlayStation 2 when I was one Christmas and didn't expect it. But at the summer previously, my aunt and my cousin came up with their PlayStation 1 and had Spyro was one of the games, and I really got into Spyro because it was one of those where I lived in the middle of nowhere in Warwickshire. There wasn't much for me to do, like things were hours away, so you couldn't really go anywhere.
Sorry, where did you say you lived again?
Warwickshire.
Warwickshire. Okay, sorry, no, I thought you said, go on, carry on.
I've lived all over the country. Yeah. It's one of those where, because of my dad's job, so it's one of the places that I lived for the longest I've lived was in Warwickshire for my teen years, teen years. And so I lived in a small village in the middle of nowhere. And one of the things that they wanted me to have some fun with, they didn't want me watching TV all the time, they wanted me to do at least something.
Yeah.
So they got me a PlayStation 2 and I played Spyro quite a lot. I played like Rugrats games and all that sort of stuff, and that's what got us on to chatting because
definitely.
Because that was in the conversation.
Yeah, I love the video games and kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember way back when, I think I was probably about 5, my friend had a Sega Mega Drive at his house. I used to go play Sonic at his. Always wanted it, but got the PlayStation. That was the first one we got to. But yeah, Switch games. I saw something, I don't know if you've heard about it. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, they're doing the arcade versions of all the games. Yeah, I saw that. They're doing.
Isn't there like a Shredder's Revenge or something as well?
Yeah, they're doing Teenage Ninja. Because that's the only one that they can really do. Because we were talking before about like things as a kid. And like teenage,
they bring it back and stuff,
because they were looking into doing Power Rangers at one point.
Oh wow, okay.
But they can't do it because the IP's in Japan, and Japan won't allow it to be
crossover.
Oh,
it's a shame that.
Yeah. So like,
why do you think? Do you know why that might be, kind of thing?
It's because so there's a certain few of the Power Rangers, if I can remember correctly. Like the main villains of the actual franchise, they're Japanese based, and the better ones were the Japanese based ones to the actual ones that are. So
is it like they don't want to kind of like
it's the
villainize?
Yeah,
that's the right word.
It's like it's a bit like the. How in Pokemon they've got ones that look like the Kitsune, so like Vulpix and Ninetales. They're thinking, but as long as they're not villainized, you're fine.
That just, to be honest, that kind of makes sense, and I think you've got to respect them for that. Isn't it? If that's what that does actually make sense, to be honest. I've got a funny story about. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but regarding the Turtles or whatever.
Yeah.
When I was around about 5 or something, from my parents asked. Or maybe I just might have told them, like, I don't know if you had any silly things, like you said you wanted to be when you grew up. Yeah. And my answer at 5 was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which obviously isn't possible. But when you're a kid, you believe anything's possible. Yeah. Because I thought that would be a good way to go.
Yeah. You realise that Teenage Ninja is part of Marvel.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because Hawkeye finds them.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he mentions like I don't know which comic it is. I'm not a comic fan, but sure. When I was researching, because I was just looking into the arcade game because I'd never played the Teenage Mutant. But I'd seen like there used to be not an arcade game, but it was like the ones where the pictures of them were all on the pinball, like a pinball machine kind of thing. Yeah. And I remember watching it as a kid, and I was like, where the hell does Teenage Mutant Turtles come from? And they were like, oh yeah, it's a Marvel thing, because Hawkeye realises that the pizza place that they go to is near Avengers Tower, I think. And he's like, oh yeah, they're down this manhole cover, you'll find them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I was did you ever, I don't know if you just said, but did you ever watch any of like the old like cartoon episodes?
Yes, yeah.
That was such a big thing. I remember watching that like the 90s.
Yeah, it was one of those where it was Power Rangers and Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, and then it was what was the other one? The other one was all like the BBC shows as well. Like they all mix.
Like the CITV kind of thing, yeah. And then for me, we've talked about before as well, like the kind of the Spider-Man cartoon they did back in the 90s as well. So
and then Pokemon came as well.
Definitely that,
that same
There's
time,
a lot of good shows back then.
Yeah, like all that kids TV shows were so good. Like everyone was like, everyone's been like, because now they're doing on Disney Plus, they're bringing back the X-Men show. The 97.
That was big as well,
yeah. So like they're bringing that back. I think they're extending it as well. So like because with the Doctor Strange new movie coming out, because it's already been confirmed that Patrick Stewart's coming back.
Oh wow!
Because it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
You know?
Brilliant.
So like it's at the back of his head, and he says something, but it's one of them where. They think it's going to be, instead of a no more mutants thing, it's going to be release the mutants. Like,
that'll be good.
Yeah.
They've done some really good films for the X-Men as well.
Yeah, so like the cartoon's coming back as well as, because it's a multiverse of madness and we've had multiverse in Spider-Man No Way Home, it's one of those.
Yeah. Brilliant. No, it's very, I think with Marvel, especially for like Marvel fans, the amount of movies and films they've done, and then you were talking to me before about the series, you know, live action series. They've really, like, for particular like Marvel fans, it's kind of like a dream kind of thing, because they like really put loads of content.
Exactly, it's one of those where like I was saying before, like it's only recently that they've got rid of the Netflix branding on the Marvel shows that were on Netflix, moved them to Disney Plus. So you've got the likes of Daredevil, all 3 seasons. You've got all 3 seasons of Jessica Jones, 2 seasons of Luke Cage, 2 seasons of Iron Fist, and then 2 seasons of The Punisher. It's a very different change for Disney Plus, because Disney has not really done R-rated. But obviously now that it's got the Fox universe, and Deadpool's in there, they have to be R-rated now. And there's like a parental lock that you do so that young kids don't get to see it. But it's one of them where it's like Disney's now growing up to the kids of the 90s. Getting everyone.
No, really get that.
Yeah. But yeah, now they've got like on Disney Plus like all the Marvel shows previously, so like from last year, so like WandaVision, Hawkeye, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and then there's an animated one actually called What If.
Oh, okay, wow.
And it's the art style is very, I wouldn't say 90s, but it's like end of 90s, early 2000s looking. But it's shell shaded. It looks like the comic book, but then looks like the actors who play them. So it's like a mixture of both, and it's it's very good. Not my favourite, but everything's canon, so it's one of those.
There's a lot. Well, I'm not sure if there's a lot, but there's definitely like a few bars in town relating to like video games, and then like. Things such as Marvel Universe and things like that, like the I know the Pixel Bar.
Yes, it was a Pixel Bar, and that one is the one that shows like Twitch streamers playing games.
Yeah, and then you can go down. I think if you go downstairs, you can see the little toys, like you know, action figures and stuff from everything Mario or Marvel stuff. So it's quite good that for people who are interested in it. They can, go to bars and stuff like that.
That's why, like, when we get, like, most of the percentage of, like, people who are, like, 20 to 30-year-olds, and most of them are actually people who are just staying for a week. They decided to come to Manchester because of either Manchester United, or they've come for, Peaky Blinders were filmed here, or like Oasis was doing something here, or something. But then the rest is either locals or someone that's just moved, like, in months.
Sure.
So, like, I'm glad that Manchester's getting, like, the representation of what it deserves, because the thing is, when you come to Manchester, you don't expect the community of what it is.
Yeah, very diverse, which is great.
It's very diverse. It's very welcoming. It's only like on the early hours of the morning where you're going to find someone who's having an argument or a fight. But for the rest of that time, the Northern Quarters is brilliant. Ancoats is brilliant for like bars, restaurants, quirky shops, and all that sort of stuff. And then you've got the main stuff. So it's one of those
It's definitely Manchester's always been obviously one of the biggest cities in England, UK, but I think in recent years at least, it's definitely on even more of an uprise, which is great.
Yeah.
I've definitely read like enough articles where, especially aimed towards young professionals, you know, maybe ones that you don't have too many responsibilities, you know, such as kids and things like that. And it's, you know, the prices are reasonable for the most part. So it's definitely a rising city, and it's, I think some people are even choosing Manchester over London just because of the price difference, basically.
The price difference, and then they come and they stay because of the community.
Definitely. So, everyone's very friendly, and I think when they you know, they realise that, and they realise that actually it is quite a big city, and there's, you know, a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, so like we were saying before that before I moved back to Manchester, so I'm originally from Chadderton. Sure.
I lived in Sheffield for a few years, and there's a very stark difference between the two cities, because Sheffield is more green, it's more hilly, it's not got much going for it apart from like big parks. The town centre's only just been reimagined.
I get you.
And then you've got like Meadowhall and all that sort of stuff, but there's not that much that you can do in Sheffield. But whereas Manchester has got so much.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those where even though it's 50 minutes on the train, it's 50 minutes worth it to just visit.
Oh yeah, there's such like a big range. Yeah. Like I went to like even I wouldn't, like, as a kid I used to play like some board games and stuff.
Yeah.
But like nowadays I wouldn't, it's not something I would usually go for. However, I went to a couple actually events, board game events, and they've actually been really interesting, and surprisingly, like I always thought I'd be like a night out person, which I still am to an extent, but they're actually, you know, you can just have a good chilled out time.
Yeah.
With, you know, dead friendly people.
Yeah.
And it's better than just having to, you know, it cuts down on the drinking as well, so that's good.
Yeah.
Have you been to any of the board game events yourself, or?
No, I haven't. The thing is with board games, there's always one person that is a very sore loser or sore winner, and you're just like you're playing this game, and then you're chatting as well, and then all of a sudden the person who has that is just like, just don't ruin. Like,
yeah, I think like that probably goes for like probably most environments you can be in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's always going to be one or two people that, you know, they probably don't have the best interests at, you know, for other people. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're kind of just like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Or there's one that's like, oh yeah, we're not going to use the main rules. We're going to do this other version of it, and then the other version is so confusing. It's like the cheaters version. It's just like,
I get it, yeah.
And you're just like, I don't want to play Monopoly this way or that way, or I don't want to play Life or whatever other ones are available. But like everything is like there's like, oh, there's a higher version of Uno you can play. I don't want to play that. Just play the regular Uno.
Yeah, I think the first game of it, I didn't realise there was that many board games around. Like, I know, like, the obvious, you know, the main ones, like, you know, Monopoly, or Kaplunk even from, like, way back in the day.
Yeah, and then there's other versions,
and Scrabble and things like that.
Yeah.
However, when I went to this one, there was, like, there's, like, hundreds of, probably thousands of different board games you can do.
Yeah, because now they're bringing all the American ones over.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, because there's like Candyland and all that, so like they're trying to bring, basically they're trying to swap them over. So so the board games that we have here that are mostly British are going to America, and then the other way around. Because I've just noticed on like some of the vlogs where they've been into supermarkets, and you're like, oh, I didn't realise that this one was in.
Because I think I'm trying to think of some of the games I played on the first meetup when I went to. We were playing even like it was a kitchen board game, like a chef one, and it was like you've got to keep your kitchen running, and cutlery was involved and things like this. It's not something I'd usually go for. However, I think I just admire just the variety of what you can think of with different board games. Yeah,
it's like with Monopoly now, where there's now a Manchester themed one, there's Marvel TV show ones, there's ones where you wouldn't think, so there's one like for, I think there's one for like the Chocolate Factory and all that,
wow,
like all different ones, and you're just like, how the heck, because it's meant to be property, but then it's like, no, there's one for like all different things, it's just like, this makes no sense. There's no streets or whatnot. It's this, that, and the other. And yeah.
I'm kind of intrigued about the Manchester one, to be honest. Have you seen that one at all?
I think it's in Athlete's Palace. I think you can get it from. But I've seen it advertised somewhere, and I think Athlete's Palace has it. But it's if people who are listening have never been to Manchester, that's one place to visit. Athlete's Palace is one place to absolutely.
Whereabout is that in Manchester?
So it's off Oldham Road. It's basically you've got there's like a bunch of there's Morrison's on the corner, the Market Kitchen Morrison's.
Yeah.
You follow the road upwards, cross over so that you're opposite the Market Kitchen. Follow the road right upwards, and literally before you get to the corner to turn round on the corner. Athlete's Palace is right there.
Okay.
And basically it's a marketplace that local Manchester businesses are, so there's even a Fred Perry shop because that's Manchester owned, but like all different marketplace items and things that you wouldn't imagine, so jewellery, cafes, things that are pop culture and goth themed, and emo themed and all that sort of stuff. It's such an amazing place because you never know what you're going to find in there. And there's a place where it's women's, men's clothes, and they have things that they accept everyone, so anyone that's LGBTQA plus, anyone, and they have flags and all sorts of stuff that theme towards that, and also like all the things, but that's year round. It's not just for Pride and things like that. So it's really cool.
Brilliant, cool. So this is a hot seat round. So it's only the second time we're doing it. So I'd like to ask you, what's the first thing you look for in a person that you're like, what's the main like attraction that you look for in a person?
I would say you're going to get to know their personality first, but there has to be some sort of attraction there.
Sure, okay.
But it's one of those where I'd rather learn about someone than like physical attributes, as long as they're like, I can say that they're loyal, but it's one of those where, well, a dog's loyal. Like, that's not
true.
Like, that's not kind of. It's more of like being reliable, being like. It's more of like I'd rather do that like the personality rather than
like the physical kind of thing.
Yeah.
You want to get to know someone kind of first.
Yeah.
And then what's like what do you say your biggest turn off is in a person then?
This has mostly been with all the male relationships that I've had, and it's so annoying that it's one of those where constantly asking for sex, like every like hour of the day. It's just like it's just one of those things where I've met men who will be that will just ask that question constantly, and you're just like, the more you ask it, the more I don't want it.
Yeah,
it's one of those where if I want it, you will know about it.
Yeah.
If I don't want it, don't keep persistently going, do you want it? Do you want it?
Yeah. Because
it's just going to annoy the hell out of me. I'm not.
It is. I think a lot of men out there still don't realise that men and women are definitely wired differently. So don't keep pestering them because it's just not going to work.
No.
How do you, if you were to get into like, when you do get into relationships, how do you like to go about it? Like, are you kind of like straightforward, or do you want to kind of get to know someone first? Or
I'd rather get to know someone. So I am bisexual, but I'm also demisexual, which means I don't find sexual attraction until I know the person.
Okay.
So we could be chatting. So we've known each other for months. I'd have to get to know you a lot more.
Okay.
Before anything, if anything further does happen, rather than I'm not going to be one of those casual sex women.
That makes sense.
I'd rather know the person who I'm with, because then I feel safer than other things. So.
Well, that's a key word. I've definitely heard of demisexual before. However, what it actually means, I'd have to have looked it up to actually know exactly what it means, because there's so many different like types nowadays, which I think they've always been around, but now we're actually putting a label towards it.
Yeah. So now
people are comfortable saying it. So.
Yeah. So like it's one of those where it is a coming out, because I'm obviously bi, but it's one of those where it's harder to relate to people. But then as soon as you mention what the meaning behind it is, like, oh yeah, that's most people.
That's what I think. Yeah, I think most people like to get to know people first.
Yeah.
Before anything further takes on. So that's nothing to be. It's a cool thing. So now let's delve back into the past a bit. So the earlier times of Kathryn, like where you kind of grew up. I know you mentioned you lived in a few places.
Yeah.
So where did it all start?
So I grew up until I was 7 in Chadderton.
Okay.
And literally just behind the massive Morrison's that's off the M60.
So North Manchester.
Yeah. North Manchester, and then. Because of my dad's job, he was a sales director, moved around a lot because he was working for different companies.
Sure.
So I've lived in Cheshire, I've lived in Chalgrove, which is Oxfordshire, Windsor, and then Warwickshire for the most of my teen years.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Sheffield, and then moved back about 5.5 years ago. Moved back to Manchester, where I live, just outside of Blakely. So it's
a bit of a mix. Where about in Cheshire were you then? Because I spent most of my life in Chester and Cheshire.
Yeah, so I lived in Wimslow.
Oh wow, yeah.
There's do you know where Top Walk is? In the roundabout that's the retail park with BMW.
I think if I saw it, I would recognise it. Off the top of my head.
It's one of those ones where you come off the motorway and then there's loads of roundabouts in that motorway.
Okay.
And it's one of them. It's and literally it's like one of the side streets.
Yeah.
Where the retail park is. There's like a housing estate, then there's a retail park, and then there's a load more housing estates. Yeah. And literally it was like towards the end where I used to live.
Oh wow.
But yeah. It was a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends in Cheshire. I stayed there for a couple of years, and thankfully through social media I've been able to find some of the friends back. It's been nice.
Because it can be quite I've somewhat kind of got a similar story in moving around a lot of places. It can be quite difficult at times, especially when you're growing up and you're still developing as a person.
Yeah, it was hard to be that new person in a new place.
Definitely.
Especially going through school time, because people have already made friends. And because I have dyspraxia, which is a social and coordination disorder, my social skills when I was a kid weren't the best.
Right,
So it was harder for me to make friends. But as soon as I made friends, that was it.
Cool. That's great. Yeah.
So it's one of those where it's I only have a mild case of it, but it's one of those where I'm glad I got the experience to do that, because it made me a better person for myself.
Definitely.
And
because it's probably better to do that as a kid. So then when you are an adult, it's it's something it's a technique that you've learned. So that's cool. Because I remember those times where it's you're always the new person.
Yeah.
And that's hard. That can be difficult for anyone. Because like you said, they've already made friends, and you could be shy or whatever. Because you're just this is all new to me, and you've got to, take your time to get to know everyone.
Yeah, and that's why I was glad that, thankfully, I didn't move until I was 21, after, my teen. So I moved to Warwickshire when I was 10, and then for year 6, and then didn't move again until I was 21, so it was
that's
great.
pretty good, yeah.
It meant that my schoolwork wasn't disrupted, and I didn't miss friends and things like that. So
yeah, that's definitely a core base of time to have one place which is really good.
Yeah.
And then I was going to talk about, because right now I've got Fanta mixed with a little bit of vodka, only a tiny bit.
Yeah.
And then Kathryn's actually a non-drinker. For those of you out there who thought she might be drinking. Because if that was mine, it'd probably be a flavoured cider or something. But yeah, you're a non-drinker. Because we talked about things that we might talk about, and one of them was funny drunk stories. Obviously, you don't have drunk stories because you're not a drinker. But on a side note, I think especially years ago when I was 19 or something, used to have some crazy times. Would you say, because you'd still go on nights out, which is great.
Yeah.
when you first started going out, like what age were you, and were you going to kind of like clubs or more like bars and pubs?
Well, you should say that. So there's one time that I'd been to a club. It was in Leamington Spa, and it was awful.
Oh, no.
I mean, it was for a friend's birthday. I asked Jane's birthday.
Yeah.
I think she just turned 18, I think, and I was 19. And school friend, love her to death. Known each other like now 20 odd years.
Wow, yeah.
And basically, it's one of those where you go into a nightclub thinking, oh yeah, you get to dance, you get to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Stiffy floor.
Oh yeah.
It was massive, but it was packed. We all sat down on chairs because there was no room to dance anyway.
Oh wow.
And let's just say that like at least 12 fights were going on in this nightclub, and we were just sat in the corner, just out of the way of it, and we were just like
observing it, kind of thing.
Just observing it, going, we wanted to dance, and I said, well, we may as well have just stayed at your house and just danced it out, because all we've got is 12 fights, people that are wanting to dance but can't, elbows, all this, and it's just like there's not much point. And also, like, being the sober one where everyone else is drinking and is not fun for a beginner. Like,
definitely, especially at that age as well, because people when at that age, it's a lot different compared to like, when you're like mid-20s and up and you get drunk, 18, 19, and the drinking. I'd say it's a lot different. Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I don't drink is because of my mum. Before she had cancer, before she passed away in 2009, and she liked to drink, and sometimes her drink wasn't the best.
Right.
Like, she wasn't abusive or anything like that, but she just couldn't handle drink. That's one of the reasons, and the other reason is I don't like the other stuff. It's horrible. It's like it's one of those where when I've tried things like to try it, I'm just like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with not drinking. To be honest, it's probably a healthier lifestyle.
But the thing is, you say that, oh, I don't drink. Oh, try this. No, that's why I say I'm like allergic to when fruit ferments, because then people are like, oh no, okay.
That's the thing. Like you can, like not everyone. I'm not sure if respects it, but maybe they don't understand it.
They don't understand, and then if you put it towards and say, oh no, I'm teetotal because of a parent or whatever, they think it's the worst thing possible, and it's like, no, you don't get it. Yeah. And that's why I've said
you're allergic. I think that's probably that's a good idea, because some people like. I think I remember you told me, like, now that you're saying that, I remember, like, months ago maybe I might have said, oh, what are you drinking? And I think it's kind of flashback memory where I'm like, oh, you said you're allergic. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. But some other people might be like, oh, just have this drink, try this drink.
And
it must be a pain when they're doing that.
Yeah, and especially like, the thing is that, especially being a woman, and wherever you are, like, it's hard to be alone with a person, like like anyone, in general, because there's so many, like, there was even like a couple of months ago there was a huge walkout of people not going to bars for a week, for a day, because it was like the day of people getting
spiked,
and literally there was hardly any women in. Because they'd all gone to go and do that, because there was a big thing in Manchester to say, we're not happy with this. Like, Manchester, the Manchester community were like, we're not happy that this is happening still, because like there's people have been raped and all that sort of stuff. And you don't men, women, anything like it's one of those where. I'm glad it's being talked about. I'm glad it's
definitely. It definitely should be talked about. I 100% agree, because there's no excuses. Yeah. So I'm glad you kind of brought that up as well, to speak on here. Like, it's definitely not okay to do such things. Like, I'm not, as you can tell, I'm not allergic to drink. Yeah. But I try not to do it too much. Like, I think the last time I drank, it's probably about once or twice a week. Yeah. I was out last Friday, and I've not had a drink since then, so I try and try and leave it to the weekends, really.
Yeah.
Because, we were talking about when I was bringing up like funny stories before, like, and you'd mentioned you lived in Sheffield. I was there for like a year back when I was about 19, and I remember, I used to, like, if I drank quite a bit now, I'd do like mad things, but back then, it was all, because it was my first year of uni, I was up for anything. I remember, like, there was a game, it was like Freshers Week. Have you heard of like Freshers Week?
Yeah.
So basically anything, all goes, and people were in, it was to get onto like this tour bus which would take you around the city of Sheffield.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that sounds fun. And there was like, I think there was about room for about 5 or 6 men, and you had to stand on like a bucket or a barrel kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you had to get oiled up by someone. You'd have to take your t-shirt off or whatever you're wearing.
Oh,
you have to get oiled up on your body in front of every, this is a packed bar kind of thing.
God.
It was a varsity bar. I'm not sure if they're still going, but they were like, that's like a uni kind of thing. They were really fun back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was 19, and it was like, basically, that's like all things go. And I got up there because I literally didn't care. I was one of the men there, and I was, if you think I'm skinny now, I was super skinny back then. Because even... I think
were you turned upside down to drink from?
Luckily not. Yeah. Luckily not, because I might have threw up or something possibly. Yeah. No, what had happened was, there was like, so there was men and women also just standing around, and they'd want a girl to like oil up like the guy with whatever it was. I can't, but baby oil or whatever it was. Unfortunately, there was a girl right nearby, and she was like, "Oh, I'm not doing that." I was like, "Well." Luckily, my roommate, who was a girl, was like, "Oh no, that's fine, I'll do it." So luckily, she was like, she was like, "I'll do the friend thing." And so luckily, because then when you've done that, you had to pour like a bucket of water, and it was water all over your head. So you're like, not only were you like topless, you were now freezing cold, but because of that, we then were able to go on this tour bus, and you'd only get a pass for yourself, and I think the girl who did it, but I kind of like, my mate at the time, I was like, "Oh yeah, you just come with us." And we were all just like, went onto the tour bus. And it was such like a good time. And we were like shouting all, not like rude things, but just funny things from like, I don't know if have you ever seen Bo Selector?
Yes.
From years ago. So we were like, we were all going, "Oh, you bastards, on top of this bus." And so it was even like quite a few years after Bo Selector actually first came out. And I remember saying it once, and there was like a traffic light there, and I said it to like some random strangers at the time, and they were like, "Oh, you bastards!" Not in a rude way, but just trying to be funny. And they were kind of just staring at me, and like, I'm hoping that traffic light goes to green soon, because it was just red. We were just kind of standing there.
It's a bit like the in-betweeners of like the bus wankers.
Yeah, definitely. We thought we were it. Definitely. Yeah.
The thing is with Sheffield is, you don't realise how hilly it is until you've got a rented apartment, and then you've got to walk everywhere. Like drinking on a nights out, there's something different about doing a night out in Sheffield to doing a night out in Manchester. Because you have to be physically fit to do it in Sheffield.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because like there's only certain places where it's flat. Everywhere else, it's hills to...
What was that? Because I know there was a few streets, like West Street was quite a popular one.
Yeah, West Street was one, and there was...
Was there one like... Because I know there's like an Eccles or something around here, isn't there, in Manchester?
Yeah.
Was there like an Eccles or something, Eccles Road or something, maybe?
Ecclesall Road, yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I think there was like, that was a bit further from me at the time where I lived.
Yeah.
But enough people would bring it up and be like, this is, actually a really good area to go out to.
Yeah, I used to live off of Ecclesall Road. So like,
oh, wow.
You know where the roundabout is, where the Waitrose is?
Yeah.
I literally, there's a flat building that's just literally, like, on the opposite side of where Waitrose is. There's a flat building with a takeaway underneath, and that's where I used to live, so, like, it wasn't
wow. Yeah.
But, yeah, like, even in the city centre, like, the Moor, my God, to walk up the Moor, like, in the middle of it, with, like, shopping bags and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like,
you're walking around with abs before you know it.
Yeah, like the longer you stay there, the longer that you'll be fit. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Because people really didn't really take buses unless it was like really further out.
Yeah.
If it was like the top of Ecclesall Road, which is like up hills, then yes, they would take buses. But if it's like the bottom, people would walk everywhere. So it's one of those where the city's a little bit different, but that's because it was hilly.
Yeah. Cool. Let's check this. I think we actually covered pretty much all the topics now. So maybe one last one, and then we can wrap it up because you've done quite a good time as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Have you got any like ambitions or anything for the future, or anywhere that you'd like to see yourself? If that makes sense, or like it's always good to live in the present, which is definitely the main way to go.
Yeah.
However, have you got like any idea like where you'd like to go? Or even it could be just a lot more shorter term goals, but this is more about talking about the future. So it could even be like, I want to go on a holiday, or it could be I want to move over here. Yeah. Like, have you got anything in mind that?
Well, I'm 32, so as of right now, I know that sometime this year I'm going to go back and revisit Disneyland Paris because they're opening an Avengers campus in the actual in the Studios Park, which will be nice. So that I'll go in November sometime, and I want to revisit Walt Disney World as well, like following year because I've been a couple of it'll be 4 times.
The Orlando one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to do that. Other than that. The only future goals really that I have is have my own house. That would be nice to have a mortgage on a house. And like get a sausage dog at some point.
Yeah, my mum wants a sausage dog.
They are the adorable, cutest things ever.
Definitely.
And also, I would like to have a family in the future.
Yeah. No, brilliant. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on to my podcast, What's Goody?
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap. So thanks. Tune in next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I think I have a superhero stalker.
36 carats on my wrist.
You are amazing.
That means 36 carats on my bitch.
But you are.
My God. What's up, morning? Just having a good time now. You best get out of here now, ain't having it. Let's all just have a good time, you know.